Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome to Cinematic Excrement. This is the time of year when I typically cover a crappy horror movie, and we have hit the motherlode this time. Today we shall examine the legendarily awful Manos, the Hands of Fate.
Yep, we are really scraping the bottom of the barrel this time. Manos, The Hands of Fate, is widely regarded as not just a terrible horror movie, but one of the worst movies of all time. Some would say the worst. At one time, it was actually number 1 on IMDb's bottom 100 list, though it has since moved up to number 5, ahead of Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas, some German movie called Daniel the Wizard, Baby Geniuses 2, and Codename KOZ. Whatever the hell that is. A few movies I've previously reviewed are currently on the bottom 100 list, including Meet the Spartans, Battlefield Earth, Alone in the Dark, House of the Dead, and of course, Birdemic Shock and Terror. And Manos, The Hands of Fate beats them all, though Birdemic comes pretty close. This independently made horror movie from 1966 had a very limited theatrical run in the Southwest before disappearing into obscurity, and it probably would be long forgotten today. But in 1992, pretty much by accident, it was discovered by Frank Conniff, aka TV's Frank of Mystery Science Theater 3000. He chose the film to be riffed by Joel and the Bots on the season 4 finale, and the rest is history.
You know, every frame of this movie looks like someone's last known photograph.
The film maintains a strong cult following today, largely thanks to MST3K, and it remains one of the show's most popular episodes. Even if you've only seen a handful of MST3K episodes, chances are Manos is one of them.
But just in case you haven't seen it, I would recommend you do so before watching my review. It's available to watch for free on the official MST3K YouTube channel. If you have already seen it, and for some reason you still want to hear what I have to say about it, then let's get on with it.
Manos, The Hands of Fate has a very interesting title. For one thing, the movie's title card makes it look like only the first word is in quotations, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Also, the word Manos is Spanish for hands, so the title is literally Hands, The Hands of Fate.
In Mexico, they call this movie Hands, Las Manos del Destino. Probably.
The movie was made by Harold P. Warren, Hal to his friends, who wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the film. Warren was not actually a filmmaker by trade, but a fertilizer salesman.
So of course his movie turned out to be shit.
According to legend, Warren once met Oscar-winning screenwriter Sterling Silliphant, and for some reason, claimed making a horror movie was so easy that anyone could do it. Silliphant tried to inform Warren that filmmaking was, in fact, not as easy as he thought, but Warren was undeterred and bet Silliphant he could make a movie all on his own.
That's quite the claim, considering this man had no filmmaking experience whatsoever. Little did he know what he was getting himself into.
Warren cobbled together a very small budget of about $19,000, which would be about $140,000 today. Not a lot of money by Hollywood standards, but movies have been made for less, even good ones on occasion. But they're typically made by people who have some idea of what the hell they're doing. Harold P. Warren did not. Most of the cast and crew were friends of Warren who did community theater, as Warren himself was active in the local theater scene at the time. Since the budget wouldn't allow Warren to actually pay anyone for their work, and to his credit he was at least upfront about this, he offered them a percentage of the film's profits.
But apparently he couldn't even get that right, because according to at least one member of the crew, not only did Warren know nothing about filmmaking, he also struggled with basic math.
5 weeks, 3 weeks into the thing, we're having a party one night. We said, by the way, what percentage did you have the thing? Well, what's your percentage? Well, what's your percentage? We got 150% real quick. And we knew that there were lots of other people who put real money into it. So we figured about 300%.
After the movie was finished, Warren organized a huge premiere event at the Capri Theater in El Paso, his hometown and where most of the movie was shot. And this thing was hyped to hell and back. He invited several local dignitaries, including the mayor. He had a searchlight placed in front of the theater, and he even arranged for the cast to be brought to the theater in a limo. Unfortunately, he could only afford one limo, and this actually happened, he had everyone wait around the block, and the limo would come by and pick up just a few of them at a time, loop around to the front of the theater, drop them off at the red carpet, swing back around to pick up a few more people, and so on and so on.
Eventually, everyone filed into the theater, took their seats, and the movie began. Let's take a look at what they saw. And heard.
We're almost there, honey. Just a little while longer and your vacation starts.
I'm getting cold, Mother, and hungry.
Yep. The reaction you just had is about the same as that of the premiere audience. Oh, how they laughed.
Now, you're probably wondering why the little girl sounds like a middle-aged woman trying to do a little girl's voice. Well, that's because it is a middle-aged woman trying to do a little girl's voice.
The key word here is trying.
The entire movie was shot using a 16mm camera that, like most film cameras, did not have the ability to record sound. They couldn't afford a separate sound recording system, so all sounds, including the voices, had to be dubbed in post-production. Varying accounts exist of who exactly participated in the dubbing, but it's generally accepted that all female voices were done by one woman, probably Hal's wife Norma. The end result is hysterical, to say the least. The voices, in addition to sounding terrible, often don't quite match up with what's on film. Sometimes you even have a voice with no lip movements, or vice versa.
But you know we should have asked for better directions at the last gas station.
Listen, I've never gotten this lost before.
Hey, Mr. Warren, you know you're supposed to edit out the part where you say cut, right? I mean, at least you had the good sense not to dub yourself saying cut, but come on, man.
Anyway, these are our main characters, I suppose. Mike, played by Hal Warren, his wife Margaret, played by Diane Adelson, although she was credited as Diane Marie, and their daughter Debbie, played by Jackie Neyman. They're on vacation and trying to find some place called Valley Lodge, and apparently it takes them a long time to get there because the first few minutes of the movie are mostly them driving. That's it. There's almost no dialogue, just various shots of El Paso farmland. And good lord is it boring. The endless traveling sequences in Star Trek The Motion Picture weren't terribly exciting either, but at least they looked good. I can't say the same about Manos. Supposedly these scenes were made for the movie's opening credits, but either Warren ran out of money and/or time and wasn't able to add them, or he just plain forgot. I would say either scenario is equally possible.
Since Mr. Warren wasn't able to add the credits himself, please allow me.
Inside this magic circle, keep your head up high. Use this strength I have within. It's real and not lies.
Now just 10 miles up this road. We're almost there, Debbie. Just a few minutes more.
Hang on, let me turn the soundtrack down. Sorry, honey, what were you saying? At some point during this endless driving montage, we suddenly drop in on a couple of teenagers making out on the side of a dirt road. These characters serve no purpose in the movie whatsoever. The only reason they're here is because the actress was supposed to have a bigger part in the movie, but broke her leg and wasn't able to play the part she originally had. So Warren created this part for her to keep her in the movie. Our vacationing heroes happen to drive by the couple as they're trying to swallow each other's tonsils, and they have the biggest delayed reaction ever. Watch. There goes the car. And they finally turn around.
Darling, did you hear a car drive by about 8 seconds ago? You know, now you mention it.
I wonder where they're going.
Man, like there's nothing up that road.
Then we cut back to Mike and his family, and if you thought the endless shots of Texas farmland were great, you're just going to love these endless shots of Texas desert. And this is where we see another limitation of the camera they used.
Now look, the sign pointed this way.
That cut you just saw wasn't mine. That's actually how the movie is edited, and there's a reason for it.
The camera they used did not have an external power supply and could only be charged with a hand crank. This gave them enough power for about 32 seconds of filming before it ran out of juice and they had to charge it up again. So if Warren wanted a shot that was longer than 32 seconds, as he often did, his only option was to film 2 different shots, splice them together, and hope to God no one noticed. I'm not sure if this says more about his ineptitude as a director, or what he thought of the audience's intelligence.
Mike, let's go back to the crossroads and ask those kids we saw.
Okay, but I know we can't be wrong. Look, the sign pointed this way.
They drive around aimlessly for what seems like hours, even though it was probably only about 2 minutes, and at one point, Mike comes inches away from crashing the car into a dead end. Mike, did you really have to get that close to the bush before you realized it was a dead end? But how can it be a dead end? The sign pointed this way! While Mike makes a 57-point turn to get out of this dead end, we cut back to the... Wait a minute.
Play that shot again from the beginning.
Did you see that?
I think that was a clapperboard. Okay, 2 things. 1, how did they not catch that in editing? All you had to do was trim a few frames at the beginning of that shot, and we never would have known it was there. And 2, why did they have a clapperboard at all? In case you're not aware, on most film sets, video and audio are recorded separately and are synchronized during editing. The clapperboard helps them do this by matching the movement of the clapper with the sound. But as I already said, when they made Manos, they had no way to record sound. It all had to be done in post. So the clapper would be useless.
I'm guessing Warren used the clapperboard because, well, it's what they do in Hollywood. Surely there must be a reason for it, right? But it never occurred to him what that reason might be. Anyway, as I was saying, we cut back to the makeout couple who are harassed by the local sheriff for... parking in a no-face-sucking zone? I don't know.
You'd think we're doing something wrong.
Well, whatever it is you're not doing, don't do it somewhere else.
I actually kind of like that line.
Why don't you guys leave us alone?
What in the fuck was that? I don't know what's weirder, the unnecessary long pause before the line or that weird facial twitch afterward.
Seriously, I think she just had a seizure. This movie is so bad, it's giving its cast epilepsy. After the boy drives off, presumably to take his girlfriend to the hospital, we cut back to our vacationers who have come across a house in the middle of the desert.
Where did this place come from? It wasn't here a few minutes ago.
I don't care. Let's see if we can get some directions.
But we don't need directions. The sign pointed this way.
They pull up to the front of the house where they find a strange-looking man standing near the front door. Okay, do we really need to capture every single frame of these people getting out of their damn car? Just because you can shoot 32 seconds worth of footage in one take doesn't mean you have to. And now we're introduced to the real hero of this movie.
I am Torgo. I take care of the place while the master is away.
And this is where the movie becomes hilarious. And kinda awkward as well, but I'll get to that in a second.
Torgo is probably the most popular character from Manos due to just how bizarre he is. He has unusually large knees and has considerable trouble walking because of them, 2 sets of eyebrows, for some reason, and a staff with a hand on top.
A hand of fate, if you will. Though you probably shouldn't.
Torgo's strange appearance led to the popular fan theory that he was supposed to be a satyr, and it certainly seems plausible. It would at least explain the legs. However, we never see any cloven hooves or horns to confirm he's the mythical goat man.
So is he actually a satyr? Well, the answer is... kind of.
In an early draft of the script, Torgo was, in fact, explicitly said to be a satyr. But by the time they shot the movie, that part of the script had been axed. So the end result is Torgo was just a dude with a weird physical deformity. I can't say for sure why they decided to go this route, but my personal theory is Hal Warren always intended for Torgo to be a satyr, but when it came time to make the movie, he realized the budget wouldn't allow them to make a convincing costume. However, by then they had already constructed the legs and didn't want them to go to waste, so they just went with what they had. The end result is... this.
He has his own theme music too, which just adds to the hilarity of the character. But now it's time to get to that awkward bit I mentioned earlier.
In the clips I've shown you so far, you may have noticed Torgo keeps twitching uncontrollably as if he were in the midst of an acid trip. That's because he probably was. John Reynolds, who played the part of Torgo, had a troubled life and was often self-medicating, according to his castmates. Contrary to rumors, he was not addicted to painkillers, but during the shoot for Manos, he was usually high on something, probably LSD. Unfortunately, his story does not have a happy ending, as Reynolds took his own life later that year, approximately a month before the premiere of Manos, which ended up being his only film role.
So please understand that I am not in any way trying to make light of a man's life that ended in tragedy. On the contrary, I love Reynolds' performance as Torgo. He is easily the best part of this movie, and judging by the character's popularity, I'm not the only one who thinks so. We are not here to be mean-spirited. We are here to have some fun with a terrible movie. That's all. So let's get back to that terrible movie.
The vacationing family asked Torgo for directions to Valley Lodge, but he doesn't seem to know what they're talking about.
There is no place like that around here.
Cut.
Mike, I'm scared. It's getting dark.
It's getting dark? In 5 hours maybe, but now?
Since driving away is out of the question, because reasons, Mike comes up with a brilliant idea. They'll just spend the night here.
Oh yes, spend the night with the strange man you just met. What's the worst that could happen?
How about it, Torgo?
I don't want to stay. Let's leave.
I don't know about it. I just don't know.
Well, Torgo, in or out?
Patient, dear.
Very well.
Oh, about freaking time. How far into this movie are we anyway? No, wait. No, don't answer that. I never liked the answer to that question. I need to stop asking. Just proceed.
Mike sends his wife and young daughter into the house first to make sure it's safe. Father of the year right there. And he makes Torgo carry the luggage. What an asshole.
Torgo, we'll stay tonight, and then tomorrow...
You must be... You cannot stay. The master would not approve.
Now that I've told you to leave, let me take the luggage into the house. Manos, the hands of the mantelpiece. Mike and Maggie have a look around and spot an ominous-looking painting on the wall.
Mike, I'm...
Well, that happened.
After staring at the ominous painting for another 3 hours, Torgo confirms it is his master, but he has, in Torgo's own words, left this world.
There is nothing to fear, madam. The master likes you.
Likes me? I thought you said he was dead.
He's not quite dead.
Dead? No, madam, not dead the way you know it. He is with us always. Not dead the way you know it. He is with us always.
We heard you the first time, thanks.
I don't know if he was really supposed to say that line twice or if that was a mistake in editing. Given Mr. Warren's incompetence in all areas of filmmaking, I'd say either is equally plausible. Suddenly, they hear the sound of a wild animal howling outside, and little Debbie was so scared by the howling that she fainted. Or maybe she just passed out from boredom. In either case, Maggie demands Mike chase the animal away. I guess it was getting dark after all. But Peppy isn't about to let Mike steal his thunder, and he runs off to challenge the wild animal. It doesn't go well.
My God, Mike, what happened?
He's dead. Peppy's been killed.
But on the bright side, now we have an appetizer for dinner. By the way, honey, weren't you wearing a handkerchief on your head a minute ago? Oh, there it is.
Torgo!
Bolo! After the death of Peppy, the family decides it's time to leave, and Mike tells Torgo to put the luggage back in the car. Is there some reason why he's incapable of carrying his own bags?
Right now. Fast, damn it, fast!
Mike, do you want it done fast, or do you want it done by Torgo? You can't have both.
Unfortunately, because this is a lame horror movie, the car won't start. While Mike tries to fix the car by popping the hood and pretending to know what he's doing, like any good 60s dad, Torgo chats it up with Maggie while she tries desperately to not look at the camera.
The master wants you.
Wants me?
He wants you for his wife. He loves beautiful women.
Yeah, who doesn't? She was gorgeous, though, wasn't she?
And then Torgo... What in the... I don't quite know what I'm looking at here, but I'm pretty sure it's illegal.
Or at the very least, unsanitary.
Madam, weren't you wearing a handkerchief on your head a minute ago? Oh, there it is. Mike asks for a phone so he can call a real mechanic, but apparently the master is a total Luddite and doesn't have one. The nearest phone is 10 miles away.
10 miles? Might as well be 10,000 miles.
Margaret had no concept of distance.
The master won't mind you staying tonight.
I thought she would say, oh, fuck it.
I'll just bring the bags back to the room.
I'll start with the one in the blue dress.